Wonder Woman issue 79, G. Willow Wilson writing with Scott Eaton on the art. So love is gone, as we've established previously. We ended last issue with Cheetah kind of stalking the streets as Wonder Woman's just kind of lost and confused as rioting's going on.
Yeah, she's in a daze.
Yeah. So I actually, one of my favorite parts of this was just the idea of Cheetah like, just deciding to strike and just sauntering down the street, like being like, okay, now I'm going to attack her. Now it's time. And
very casual.
Yeah, I really like that. That's confidence that she has because of it.
Yeah, and it's a game to her. She is like a big cat playing with her prey.
Yeah.
You know?
And the best page of the book is probably Wonder Woman on instinct going to cross her arms to like block with her gauntlets, and there's no gauntlets because they got destroyed last issue. So the next couple of panels, she's just got blood all down her arms because she's blocked a sword with her arms.
Yeah, I think I'd have appreciated actually seeing some sort of cut on her arms as well, some sort of gash.
Yeah,
there's blood, sure, but I can't actually see any wound whatsoever, and that felt really jarring to me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this Eaton art in this issue.
No, that's fair. It's some of the worst art the book's had, I think.
It is replacement level. Like I've talked about this before. In sports, you have a replacement level player where they're just kind of the average. They're not good. They're not bad. It's just what a basic blank slate would do.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it doesn't live up to the first team, as it were.
Yeah, and I feel like some of that takes away from just the pacing. Like Connor just said, I would have liked to see a de facto injury happen, because at first I got a little bit confused. Because if this is a sword that killed Aphrodite, right?
Yeah, she's lunging in and she's brought her arms up, and you just see it touch the edge of the arms. You don't see it go in at all, which is fine. But then on the next page, just some blood on her arms, but that's it. I can't actually see any sort of cut from and that looks like she should have left a pretty deep gash.
Yeah. If this is strong enough to kill a god, but Wonder Woman's not even like getting to the bone, like what? Yeah. That's kind of weird. Yeah. Unless Cheetah's actually holding back because she doesn't want to just kill her in one strike.
Maybe.
It's more about playing with her again. I don't know.
Yeah.
A little inconsistent there. We have other stuff. Maggie's back from Themyscira because the world's going to shit, and trying to convince Antiochus to try and rekindle love because Aphrodite was their mother, and maybe they can
inherit some of that power and direct it,
bring love back, and
kind of what we've been speculating for
I imagine that's where it's going and how it's going to like come back and like solve all the problems. But and Kale's got a scientist analyzing the shard that they got, and it's like, oh, it's got like nano biological tech in the sword. It's
coded to Cheetah.
Yeah. Because she basically comes in and she's able. It's not quite like Thor's hammer. She's able to pick it up, but it immediately just sort of like slings over to Cheetah when she does it.
Yeah.
So so it's kind of shows that example, and she tranks Cheetah for like a minute to like slow her down while she comes in and tells Wonder Woman all this intel, and that's kind of
Well, there's a lot of exposition in that scene. I felt.
Yeah, there's a lot of exposition. And that's when she does the arm thing. But Wonder Woman's able to kind of fight back, and she finds some strength, not in love, but in justice, which still exists even without love. So she's able to kind of do enough. And what I did like about this fight scene, though, I like the idea that she sort of acts tough to sort of scare Cheetah, and Cheetah runs away, her tail between her legs. But as soon as Cheetah's out of the room, Wonder Woman collapses. Like she's kind of faking it almost. She's faking it to appear strong, and then immediately just buckles. I do kind of like
which
that
I would say. I wouldn't say fakes it, but she's hanging on
by a thread
for as much as she can. You know what I mean? And I would say that shows her strength right there. It's you know what I mean? She digs deep, gets that extra.
And I think the narration might be actually a little overdone here on this, because it actually says, the final ounce of my strength lasts just as long as it must, and then I let go. And I don't think that's even necessary.
No.
Because I think that you can see that she's standing there, she's staring her off, Cheetah runs off, and then she collapses. It's pretty clear.
Without the, I think it would have been stronger without the dialogue or the narration.
Yeah. And then the final scene is Steve kind of saying, "Hey, without love, like that was the last thing keeping us together, because ultimately you're not really committed to us, and I'll always come second." So it leaves with Steve walking out with his bags packed, and Wonder Woman's left in her bed crying.
Like a complete dick. Like,
Yeah.
Love
But
it.
it's this thing though where like is he like is this just being a dick because there's no love left? Like he's got no love in him, so he's being dickish.
but and see, I thought this was going to the other way, to the like I know that I have love for you, but it's my duty to stay with you, right? He's a soldier, he's a pilot, and I figured that's where it was going. Not for him to be like, up, deuces, and then cut out. Leaving her literally at her most vulnerable. We've never seen Diana this vulnerable. So, like, narratively, I understand it. I think it's a bad move, though.
I get that.
Yeah. So that was the end of the issue. I mean, I think the main progression with Cheetah stuff I quite liked. And even Kale, doing her thing.
The Kale stuff was probably my favorite, just because she is a complete mad scientist at this point. And I always love the idea of her always like being cited, because she might be smarter than Luthor, but she'll never get that credit because she's not Lex Luthor. And like Lex has this brand that Kale just doesn't have. And so the almost as if this wasn't to be even with Diana, it was to be like, well, screw Luthor, I'm going to show him better than him.
I would say she's more ruthless here. I don't know, because she tells the scientist to just figure it out. Yeah, you've got till tomorrow. Luthor would have just stood there and done it himself if it was that desperate.
Right.
Yeah. This is one of several books that have the "You're the Villain" banner on it, saying "Unleashed," and there's references in all these books to how Lex Luthor's gifts or tech are helping. So there's more of that to come. So it like, and some of it's a bit more clunky than others. I mean, I think typically it's integrated better than the gift sort of stuff was, because that was always 2 pages at the end. It was always the exact same scene.
Yeah.
Here it was more just like, okay, how the villains are using it in the plot that we're already having.
It's just kind of it's leads to some clunky dialogue, but it's not terrible.
Well, because the gift was the inciting incident, right? And now this is all the fallout.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so I mean, I was sick of like hearing Lex being name dropped by the end of my book, so I was like, okay, I get it. Lex is giving out stuff to people, right? Okay, we can move on from this now.
Yeah.
It's one of these things that I wish there wasn't a banner though. I think it would feel much more exciting if just a couple of them brought it up without us knowing about it in advance. But because there's a banner saying this is a tie-in to You're the Villain, like,
we know that Luthor gave her this sword. Oh, it turns out he enhanced it a little bit.
And
sure.
On top of that, like Cheetah's been actively working with Lex and Justice League for months and months and months. So So yeah, it feels a bit more natural, even though the actual name drops of Lex started to feel a little bit iffy across the board.
Yeah, I don't think it's like one of them individually. It's just that they all happen to be doing it at the same time.
Yeah, which is the worst thing about these weird kind of forced little tie-in elements in these books. I mean, at least it's not taking the books over like a wholesale. It's just these little details, but it is worth mentioning. So yeah, the art is kind of mediocre. Wasn't feeling it too much, and it's a shame because the art in this book for Wilson's run, for the most part, has been very good. Obviously, last issue we did have some complaints as well. It's just this arc here at the end. It's almost like it's the end of the run, so it's not getting the same love and care.
The other artists have gone off to new and better things, and they're like, well, you guys can just finish off.
Yeah, let's throw in some house style, workmen to finish this off.
I think to be fair to Eaton here, I don't think it is just house style. I think they're attempting to emulate the feel of the book.
A little bit.
Successful. I think they're attempting.
Yeah.
All right. What are you rating, Matt?
I'm gonna give it a 7. Like it's fine.
Connor?
Yeah, I agree with a 7. I think things like the art drag it down a bit.
Yeah, I'm also with a 7. I like most of the story progression, a couple of inconsistencies, but the art definitely drags it down like a point, at least, if not a couple.